The corner, the corner, the corner. Hey, welcome. Come on into Cousin Ed's Corner. This podcast is where you'll find real, authentic conversation, organic conversation, unscripted, unfiltered conversation, like you're home with your cousin. It's all about life. It's about finance. It's about spirituality. It's about love and everything in between. I'm your host, Cousin Ed. I'm excited to bring you along on this journey. So sit back and listen in as we dive into a wide range of topics. I have some diverse guests coming on with an array of thoughts and opinions. My goal is to create a space all for us to connect and communicate. It's not really about me. It's about the community as a whole. Let's enjoy it. Let's sit back. Let's think about our past. Let's move into our future. It's about the corner, the corner, the corner. So no matter how you cut it or slice it, we're all here together. I'm just here to give you a piece of my heart, my mind, my soul, and my mentals. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. The corner, the corner, the corner. What's going on, fam? What's going on, fam? It's your boy, Cousin Ed. Yes, indeed. We're back with another one. I wanted to make sure I give a prelude to the show. I want to make sure I let you know about this show. We very rarely we had some technical difficulties. It was storming. It was going crazy, and part of this show was lost. Now, I will say this much: the guests that you're about to hear in a second, their section is still here. Part of my section was lost, and I want to make sure that this show was still came out. So please listen to the show. You will hear some different parts where I'm interjecting and giving you what the question was or what the conversation was. But it was so valuable that I didn't want to scrap the show altogether. So please forgive me. One of the few times that you have a show like this, but I think it's good to, we talked about being organic. I think it's good not to be scripted and not to have things always the same way and it puts you on your toes. So this is a Cousin Ed's Corner exclusive. I mean, it's special to me, so I wanted to make sure that I get it out to you and enjoy. Please enjoy. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We're back with another one. Yes, indeed, Cousin Ed's Corner. We're back at it. This is a special one. This is going to be part 2 or number 2, the second part of this series. For those who have been around for a while, we have different series on the Cousin Ed's Corner. So you may get a motivational Monday. You may get a wind down Wednesday, financial freedom Friday. Thank God for Friday. Today we have a Beyond the Game. And for those who don't know, I've been in sports my whole life. And I wanted to bring on certain people that talk about what happens after the game. So beyond the game, and it don't have to be basketball, it could be football, it could be tennis, it could be whatever it is. But when you finish playing that game or when that game is over, what happens beyond the game? And the game is bigger than just on the court itself or on the field itself. So I have a special guest today, one of my brothers, longtime brother, been in many battles with this guy on the court together against each other and on the court, definitely fighting against others. Had a privilege and honor of meeting this guy when I was a young college kid coming in. And came into his backyard, and I'll let him tell part of the story, but came into his backyard and had a great experience being there with him in Pennsylvania. So my brother Quan Britt, welcome to Cousin Ed's Corner.
Man, thank you for having me, man. Wow. I mean, the way the world come full circle, right, man? I mean, we talking 27 years ago, probably, man, when we first walked in
Yeah,
the gym together, right?
you right at it. I'm out of school 24, so yeah, 27 years. Yeah,
Probably
almost
27,
30.
somewhere around there,
Yeah.
man. A lot of people don't got friendships that last that long, man.
That
That's
is
deep.
so true.
That's
That
deep.
is so true. I'll recap and give them a little bit more. So I'm coming out of, everybody know I'm out of Brooklyn, right? I'm coming out of Brooklyn, and I went to school down in Georgia. So I'm coming back up north, and I come to Pennsylvania, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be big man on campus, right? I'm gonna be big man on campus, and meet this guy. I'm like, yeah, he's been here for 2 years already, but not this. Man, it threw everybody. And I was like, man, oh man. So I had to learn from him about the area and the people and just, the game of basketball in that area. And like I said, a great guy. And my brother, man, I really must say we never had any problems, always respectful, always loved each other. And like
That's
I said,
it.
he just said it's 27 years now, but 24 years since I've actually laid eyes on him personally and seen him, I've seen you a couple times, but just been able to talk and chat and, at this juncture in our life when we a little older. So once again, respectfully, I love you. I love you. I love you. Give you your flowers while you're here.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you, man. I really do, man. I want to say that before you even dive in. I ain't gonna overpower the conversation, man, but it's serious, and it's an honor to be able to touch base with you, see how well you're doing, man. And we're gonna dive into all the older stuff, man. But I do, man. I want to give you your flowers as well, man, because we don't spend enough time doing that for each other, and we need to do more of that. And being okay with telling each other we love each other and being genuine about it, and telling each other we proud of each other, man. Because no matter what we say, it feel good to hear. So I appreciate you, man, and I thank you.
Definitely a lot of growth in life that we happy to be above the green to experience. So definitely, like you said, I love you. So I gave them a little backdrop about me coming there. Can you give them your story about coming up to the Mount, playing ball in Central PA, and how we got connected, and then we'll move a little bit faster and forward.
I mean, wow. Let's just talk about that for a minute. So I'm born and raised in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Basketball always been a love of mine. I think even while I'm telling my story and talking about that, whenever you opened up, you talk about, the game, and life after the game. And we don't know what we've really gone through when we're going through those stages of life of getting us where we are, getting us where we want to be. And then, we don't realize that sometimes and someday, the air gonna go out that basketball, man. So we gotta get the lessons while we on the way there. And if we don't get them lessons on the way there, man, then God going show us His way. But it was an easy decision for me to want to go to the Mount. We all had big dreams, but I knew it was the right place for me to get there and be a part of all that stuff, man. So whenever I first came to the Mount, it was a 2-year school, so everybody with big dreams, man. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go there for 2 years, then I'm out of there. I'm going somewhere else, man. But like you said, after 2 years, Big Ed was coming in, so don't act like you still wasn't. Don't tell the story like you still wasn't the big man that came in the building. You still was the big man that came in the building. So it was the right thing, man. The right people was around, man. Like you said, though, man. Sometimes God laugh at our plans, man, and I think it was meant to be for me to stay them extra 2 years, man, and build them bonds with you guys, and that's where it was at, man. So we had the luxury to, like you said, battle for 2 years and learn each other. And one of my biggest things I always knew whenever I got there was to be welcoming, because the Mount, what you didn't tell the audience is that we was in the mountains, man. I'm from Johnstown.
Oh, yeah.
We about 40 minutes away, but I ain't really spent a lot of time in Crescent. until I got to college there, I ain't really spent a lot of time there. So
I tell people,
so yeah.
It's called Crescent, Pennsylvania. Reason why it's Crescent, it's on top of a mountain, and it's no joke. I mean, you really on top of a mountain. You got to come down either one side or the other. One side is Johnstown, one side is Altoona, and you're gonna make a choice which side you're gonna go to. So it was a shocker for me coming there. But like I said, having people, I tell this story a lot. It may have heard it on the show before. Coming there, I was the only black person who lived in town at the time. Everybody else black lived on campus, and coming there, experiencing that from being, multicultural and everything like that, and having y'all there who were, at least you were from the town, and having you on campus, it made it a lot easier. That's why I chose to come there after I came up there and had a chance to meet some of y'all and chose to come there. At least I knew I'd be comfortable enough to stay there for 2 years.
Yeah, but absolutely though. But I think one thing we talk about for sure though, man, is, even coming from New York, man, just think about what it took, as a man, as a young man, to even adapt to that. Because I mean, it's 20 times slower. You ain't getting none of the traffic. You ain't getting none of, you know what I mean? It's just a complete change. But I always say those are the things that make us unique, right? You know what I mean? Because you was able to adapt to that. So even off the court, man, that's a whole new adjustment for you. That's a whole new adjustment. And sometimes we don't even give ourselves credit for stuff like that.
Well, you know who I give credit to? I honestly give credit to God. Because if I stayed where I was at, I might not have graduated. I was doing all kind of fun and crazy things. And then I left my school with a 2.7. I graduated the Mount with a 3.5. Because of the slower atmosphere, I wanted to study, and we had competitions with even our head coach competing against us for grades and everything else. So it was a great time, a great experience. I got to give you credit. You were the first, I'm not going to say the first athlete I know of to leave there with two degrees. You had your associates and you had your bachelor's. So that's a testimony by itself, to be the first to have degrees from the Mount of Wishes under athletics, especially.
Yeah. And I mean, that story is so deep though, Ed, because whenever you really get to dig into the story, you got to think about how many times I was ineligible too. So seriously, man, because when you really play that out and people don't understand it, or they don't really think about it, and you like, man, like I missed a whole year of ineligibility. But even with that time stepping back and just realizing what I was really getting prepared for, man, like even then I didn't really get it at the time, but it was like, man, you got prepared for something more than basketball, man. And seriously, man, like you just said, God, and definitely pat on the backs to the coaches and the people that was around us that really did take the time to pour into us and want to see us succeed. And a lot of that was us holding each other accountable too.
Yes, indeed. Well, I must say, Coach Mahoney set the foundation for, especially when I got in there, changing some things, and I didn't have the same restrictions that I had. He gave us more restrictions than what I had in Georgia, so that helped me, and it still stays with me today. And we as a group are together now. Still, we still chat, and he still sends us motivation. So big up to our coaches, like you just said. Big up to our parents for having this being, prayerful parents. Your mama used to come up there and everything else, and cheer us on. I mean, it's amazing. Brian mom would come down, bring us food, and it was amazing having the families around us. So we got to thank our families for all of that. And this the diversity we had. Coach Mahoney bringing in people from. Somebody from Brooklyn, right? Somebody from VA, somebody from Pennsylvania. He went all over and brought people in. So, Canada, yeah. Craig, he brought Craig in. Diversity that we had there helped us, be multicultural and being on that campus with not only us as a culture, but we also had people from Central America there as well. That was amazing, and I still speak about it today in all of my talks. I talk about that experience was like no other. So
no doubt.
After leaving college, like beyond the game, we could talk about that. I know, life has its ups and downs. And this is why we're here today to talk about a couple things that, especially with, it's a big announcement with Kamala coming into office and talking about arrest rates and a whole bunch of stuff. I'll let you speak on it because I got your resume here, but I don't want to read. I don't like reading stuff off a resume. I like people to have their own story and have their own way to tell it. So I don't want to tell it for you, but if you don't mind telling the listeners, the family, the friends out here about your story, and we can get into piece of it, may have to come back to a second part of it. But if you don't mind telling your story after the game.
So the title today, Ed, say it one more time for.
Beyond the Game.
Beyond the Game, man. So I'm gonna start by saying, beyond the game, I had big dreams, man. I did get a chance. Coach Young, who was our assistant coach while you was there, he ended up getting a job coaching down in New York, man. So I actually was traveling with Coach Young for a few years, playing in the NRL, playing in the National Rookie League down in New York City. So I was able to travel back and forth and get some of that experience, man. But that just wasn't it. That wasn't the dream. That wasn't what my vision was. It wasn't really for me, at that time, my wife's at home, my wife now, she wasn't my wife then. But we got 3 kids at home. And now I got to start making some decisions, and, a couple bad choices, man, led to the streets. And, one day I like to come back and go the whole way back to how we built up to that. But, I'm gonna start the story from right there, man. I end up leaving college, man, and, just not being able to figure it out, man. I was so used to being that guy that when I wasn't the guy, I was in search of what was going to make me be that guy. Right. And, as an adult, you can think back to that and I can decipher it and I can think about it. And I'm like, man, I really didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was because basketball was my identity. Everybody knew me from basketball, but nothing else. You know what I mean? None of my other qualities. It didn't matter that I was a solid dude and I was funny and none of that mattered. I needed to figure out things for my family. And, whenever I'm talking about my story, I always try to make sure I do a good job of making sure, accountability is everything, man, and I never make excuses. There ain't no excuses. You make a mistake whenever you trip or you knock over a cup or something. But when you wake up every day and you make a choice to do something wrong, eventually that's going to catch up to you. So, fast forward to, me graduating in 2000, I did find some odds and end jobs here and there, but it still wasn't making it work. Like I said, I needed to find a way to be back on top. I needed to find a way to, have everybody looking for me and used to my name being in the paper and all of the above, man. And, I started selling drugs, man. And, by the time we got around to 2008, man, I was in so deep, I didn't even realize how deep I was in. In 2009, I got charged, and I got charged federally, and I was facing 20 to 40 years, man. And, at that time I knew, but I always go back. And even in my storms, I've always known to thank God, because there's so many occasions that, I might not even been here today to even tell the story, for multiple different reasons, and, being in the wrong place, however we want to call it. I knew that I was blessed. So me getting arrested in 2009 on federal charges, I knew it saved my life, man. I knew it saved my life. In reality, I knew I had to get through something. So I couldn't change immediately. I had to get through what I had to get through, man. So I still had to be, a little rough, a little rugged, but nobody will really understand unless you went through it to see some paperwork that say, your name versus the United States of America, because you never think about how big of a deal that is until you in that situation or you in that courtroom. So I know even at that time, that I was going to find my passion. I was going to find, what was meant to be for me. And, by the grace of God, today I'm able to share that story and help youth and help young men. I got sentenced to, 60 months mandatory minimum. Earlier in the show, you talked about, the new lady getting ready to run, it's exciting, things like that, man. Today I get a chance to fight against things like that, man. Like, making things a little bit more equal for us, man. Making sure we got a fair chance, and making sure things are in place for us to be able to succeed no matter what we're going through, man. And when I talk like this, I try to make sure I'm telling the people around me, because we talk about the youth, the young adults, man, but even some of the adults, man, at the end of the day, people gonna make some mistakes, but they need to know, and I think it's important for them to know, man, you ain't gonna be the first person that made this mistake, man, but you're gonna have some people rally around you, and we're gonna figure this out. But first you gotta go, you gotta go take care of what you gotta take care of, man, and then we can go from there. So that's the big deal, man. And that's where I was, and that's where led me to where I am today. After I did my 5 years, I came home. My time didn't go wasted. I got my book done, which I hope will be coming in 2025. I've been kind of just laying on it, I don't operate from fear, but you want to be careful when you're putting out that message. You want to make sure the table's set the right way. But that book will be coming out soon. It's called Soul of a Hustler. And you guys stay on the lookout for it, man, because it's good. It's a good read. It's not just about my story. I share some other stories, about some other people that, was running with me, who also made some bad decisions, but all of us good men. At the end of the day, all of us good men, man, doing some knucklehead stuff, but it is what it is. Like I said, going through that, I know that I wouldn't be here today with the passion that I got today. So that's a little bit of the backdrop, man. I don't want to get too deep and overpower the whole conversation with it. But I do hope that, we come back and we'll be able to touch on it more and more in depth to talk more about it. But that's what got me to where I am today, Ed.
Man, oh man, this has been amazing. I mean, it is amazing. Quan, as you heard some of the backdrop to the story, we played ball together, and I've heard part of this story that he just told. Never directly from him over the years, but I've heard the story, and I was glad to have him on and be able to talk to him freely, and him opening up to not only me but to the world, giving us an insight to what he went through, some of the experiences he's had. And in this second part, we go into how the change has made him, a better man. No one wants to experience adversity, but sometimes you have to crush the coal to get the diamond. And he is definitely a diamond. He's definitely persevered through adversity and has helped so many young men after that. So we in this next segment, we give thanks to God for allowing him to persevere and go through this. But stay tuned. I mean, it's an amazing story.
It is, man. It is. It's definitely only God, man. And like I said earlier, man, and I mean that genuinely. And sometimes it's tough having having this conversation with young men. I've always believed in God. I haven't always had my Bible in the car with me. I haven't always, done everything the right way, man. But I tell them, man, you gotta believe in something, man. And when you find that, that's what you got to ride with. Like I said, even while I'm handcuffed and in the cell, I always thank God. I thank them every day. Like, man, thank you for saving my life. You know what I mean? Thank you for, still having my family around to support me, because a lot of people don't got that, man. And I think that's it though. One of the toughest things is that we always end up in a situation where we always think we got the right answers. And most of the time we do got the right answers, but then we got to take a couple step back and say, are we asking the right questions? So now when I go in to speak to these, these teachers at school, I mean, it's unbelievable, in the role that I'm in. And when I say we talking about God, man, I want to touch on the positions that I'm in today, because it ain't no other way but God. I mean, I never stand up and beat my chest, because I know it ain't me. I'm not good enough to make the things happen that's happening, and sometimes I question, do I even deserve it? But I do, because I know my God, right? But, I sit in, one job I have is working for a nonprofit organization called Vision Together 2025. That job is pretty much every millionaire in our city. And they put this team together to figure out how we can make Johnstown a better place. There's 1,000 people that can be sitting in that office, man. Why me? And sometimes I say, why me? Not like I don't know the answer. I say, why me? Because I know it could have been someone else, right? But I know that, like you said, my story and my journey is there for a reason. It's there to be told. It's there for me to bring community together, and for us to continue to work together and keep injecting love into these youngins, man. And that's what it's all about. And coming from me, being that passionate, I get goosebumps talking about it, man. The other job that I have is I'm the executive director of Hope for Johnstown and Cure the Violence in our city. So that means that whenever there's a homicide, well, let's back up. That means that I'm in the schools a couple times throughout the weeks. Every morning, I'm waiting at the bus stops for the youngins. Hey, you eat last night? Did you sleep on the floor last night? Did your mom come home? Like those are the questions you got to ask, because they didn't understand why I was doing that, and kind of call me crazy a couple times too, until I start coming into school now. Now I'm in the morning, and it goes from 5 kids coming in there to have breakfast with me to, 100 of them. We got to move from, we got to move from one room to go to the auditorium now, because they all flocking, because we asking the right questions, man. We showing we care, and we showing them that we there, man. Like, everything ain't going to be perfect, man. And I tell them youngins every single day, man, every day not gonna be a good day, man. We all gonna have some bad days, man. What makes you think you the only one that's going through this? We going through it, but we here. And I get the opportunity to do that every day, man. Day in, day out, man. We dissolve conflicts, man. When there's a fight or anything going on, if I'm not the first phone call before they call the police, then it's the, they always call me. I always say that. If you're in a situation where you can call me before you call the police, call me first. Because most of the city know me, and they know my story, and they've been around me. And, and those are the things that they put value in, in me to do. And it's important, man. If it's a homicide, Ed, I might be one of the first ones on the scene, because I'm there, because I know that's where the healing process starts. I need to catch those youngins that's hiding behind that car trying to figure out what's going on, because they about to go retaliate. So I need to go grab them, and that's my job. My job is, hey, listen, youngin, before you go and do that, let me take you to get something to eat first. Because now if I can remove you for a minute, let's think through it, man, because you ain't going to be no help to nobody, in no other situation. This ain't a win-win, man. And you would be surprised. You won't be surprised, but I'm saying it for the sake of our conversation, of how many times I've had the opportunity to do that already. So now whenever they ask me, what is my expertise? What am I good at? Man, I make it simple for them, man. This is a God gift, man. I'm a lifesaver. It's that simple, man. It's a God gift, man. It's what God gave me, man. I'm here to save lives, man. And I hold that on my shoulder every day as a challenge, man. And I absolutely love it. I love it, man. And they say you don't really know your purpose until you're walking in it, man. And I'm walking in mine, man. I really am. I really am.
As you can tell, this show definitely got in depth, and had me choked up a little bit, man. If you know where Quan has come from, and never been a bad person, but just where he came from, Johnstown, and being able to come back and be a pillar for his community, it means so much, man. The guy who has 2 degrees that no one thought would graduate, it means so much. And I see this story every day in a lot of our young men. And for him to be a testimony this right here is just amazing. So continue to listen in. We're going to go into another segment of it. Don't forget 762-333-2032. That's 762-333-2032. Call in, leave a voicemail for Quan. Or you can go to cousinedscorner.com, leave a voicemail for Quan, and we can play it on the next show. But definitely praise up and thanks to Quan for joining us on this part of Cousin Ed's Corner. Stay tuned, listen in. We're coming right back.
It is, man. And I always share this, man. And I don't know how much time we got, man. But first of all, I just love vibing with you anyway, man. I appreciate it, man. You know, sometimes you got those, we all got a certain amount, we all got friends, right? But you got them one brothers, you like, man, you know what? I need somebody I can really be a little vulnerable with, man. I can be me. Let me talk. Let me get this off me. And it don't always call for an answer. You know what I mean? Sometimes I just want somebody to listen, man. Let me complain for a minute, because I don't complain a lot. So like, I know you one of my guys, you one of my brothers that I know that, man, I need to complain a little bit, man. I'm gonna call Big Ed. Let me get this off my chest. And at the end of the day, I love whenever you got them people around you that can still hold you accountable. The whole way from Atlanta, man. I know if I can call you and I'm giving you something, you know that you can say to me, nah, QB, you tripping right now, man. You need to think that through, and that's value, man. And what I was getting to is, as I tell these young men all the time, I said, whenever I got locked up, the Scared Straight program and all that, that's over. These youngins ain't scared of nothing, man. It is what it is. They done seen it all. They know what it is, man. And they think they seen it all, right? So they not scared. And so when I approach them, it's never oh, you're going to get raped and they're going to beat you. You don't go to that ain't it, right? But what I do is I try to share with them things that happened to me while I was gone. So when I first went away, we just talked about Johnstown being a small city. So when I got, I did the whole fly me across the states and all that, whole situation. But when I walked into federal prison, I was the only person from Johnstown. I was the only man from Johnstown. And there's 5,000 men there. I was the only one from Johnstown, man. Right? So I don't have to tell you if I was scared or not. You damn right I was scared. What are you talking about, man? You know what I mean? I didn't know if I was going to make it through the first night, right? So I make it through the first night. Let's talk about 30 days later. 30 days later, I get a call that my 13-year-old daughter pregnant, man. My 13-year-old daughter pregnant, right? So these are the things that I try to share with them. At 13, I done, and in prison, when it happened, and I look back and I reflect on it now, when we talk about God and we talk about the power of Him, is like, I blamed everybody except for me. Dang, how'd y'all let that happen? What y'all doing? Y'all ain't watching my kid. And my wife said to me, man, why you ain't watching your kid? But she had to say it. It had to be said, right? Because it was a reality check, man. We are watching your kid, for one. She's safe, she healthy, she alive. We doing the best we can, man. But when that happened, it was an immediate, okay, man, get yourself together. You know what I'm saying? Dive in that Bible. Get yourself. Now that's when, after that comment, is when I knew, like, okay, get yourself together, man. You know what I mean? It's time. You got to make it home. You got to get home, make some stuff right? So 6 months after that, so me and my wife, I have a daughter, she have a daughter. We have 3 kids together. So 3 months later, my daughter, as she's pregnant, mom gets killed by her boyfriend in a, excuse me. She gets killed in a domestic dispute, right? So we going through that now. So this is what I tell these youngins, man. Imagine your family coming to see you. Now we in a visiting room. Imagine 2,000 of them grown men, and I can't even cry with my family, man. I can't cry because they can't see me cry. I just got here. They don't know me. They don't know me. And they looking for weakness. They looking for a reason to take advantage of me. Not sexually, not nothing crazy. They just want to see if I'm weak. So imagine you trying to hold your wife up, hold your daughter up while she's pregnant, hold your other 2 daughters up, and you got 2 sons watching you. And I can't console my family, man. Let that, if you want to talk about something to be scared about, be scared of that, young man. So then we got to go a step further, eh? Because 2 months later, my wife's mom died from a heart attack. So all this happens in my first year of prison. In my first year of prison, I done lost 3 of the most important people in my life. And not like I lost my daughter, but she done lost her whole childhood now. She automatically ain't the little girl that I left. So if you want to hear something real, and that ain't no story that I got to tell. I carry the article with me. Here you go. Take a look at it, youngin'. It's right there. So if you want to be scared of something, be scared of that. Be scared of that because they need us, And, I apologize. I get a little bit emotional talking about it, man. But, it's big, man. And it's bigger than us, man. So just to say that, to say for you to have a platform, man, for even me to be able to come on, Cousin Ed Corner and talk about this. And I pray, man, that the message reach worldwide, man. When I pray, I started this prayer about 5 years ago, Ed. And when I pray, I always ask God to give me longer arms to reach the people I could have never reached before. And it's happening, man. And it's happening.
Whew, man, oh man, I told you this one has been definitely gut-wrenching, has definitely been telling, has definitely been honest, and just I appreciate Quan for definitely coming on the show and just being honest, right? Being honest. So many of us cannot even imagine or fathom that life. Can't imagine what he's been through. But for him to be so candid and honest with not only us, but with the young men and the young women that he speaks to on a daily basis means so much. So once again, I thank Quan for joining us on this episode. We're going to close out the episode and hopefully bring him back another time. But I appreciate each and every one of you for listening to the show. Thank you for loving the show and loving every part of it. So without further ado, we're going to close this episode out with Quan, Britt, Beyond the Game, man. I don't know what more to say. This is definitely beyond the game. Peace.
No doubt. No doubt. Thank you for having me, Ed. Man, I appreciate you. Keep up the good work, my brother. I know at the beginning of the show, you gave me my flowers. I want to make sure I give you yours, man, because if it wasn't for brothers like you, I still don't know where I'd be today, man. I learned a lot from you over the years, man. And I look forward to growing with you, man, in the brotherhood and all of the above, man. I'll say this to you. You got a saying and then I'm going to be done. And you always say, I love you and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Just so you know, I stole that. So I be killing people with it. Right. But, I love it. And everybody say it to people, they be like, what? But, I got one of my own, man, and I'm going to give it to you, man. I'll crawl from here to Atlanta over broken glass for you, baby. No doubt. No doubt. Hello, my name is Quan Britt. I am the Executive Director for Hope for Johnstown and Cure the Violence in Our City, and I am the PA State Rep for Reentry. And when I'm not listening to Cousin Ed's Corner, I'm usually out saving lives. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Cousin Ed's Corner.